It's James Steinhubel, and I'm here on TVU on the Health and Wellness Channel, and we have Suhas Thaleshvar, independent medicine shop owner, pharmacist here in Sherwood Park. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well, very well. So here we are, kind of at the what looks like a peak in the beginning of a receding of COVID. How are you guys doing? How have you responded? What are you seeing?
Uh, well, that's a lot of questions all in one, rolled into one. You know, there's I, I- everything shifted a few weeks ago, and we're just trying to our best to stay in the loop with the workflow and the workload. Everything changed right from the start. You know, in a pharmacy, we operate by, we call them SOPs, standard operating procedures, right? And I had to make a daily, actually within the day, every day, that SOP was changing. And I'm so glad I did it, because when I look back on it many years from now, I will actually have a running record of what we did to stay on top of this thing as it moved and peaked and changed on an almost hourly basis. We had to go from the way we scheduled. I had to compress our hours at the store so that people could stay apart. Our staff are doing not only social distancing, and right now I'm just so happy I have the team I have, but they're doing social isolating. So we're basically going from home to work and from work to home. We are trying to stay as healthy as possible. We have teams grouped together so that we're not overlapping. And in order to accomplish that, we did compress our hours. We're trying our best to stay ahead of drug shortages. We've always been in a world of drug shortages, but you know, heaven forbid what happened to toilet paper happens to essential medicine, right? So
Yes, yes.
we are trying our best to stay ahead of that. Curbside deliveries. I closed off my front shop, and this is going to age me and date me a little bit, but we were making jokes about consumers distributing, uh, about how, you know, if someone needs something now, we just run and get it. We're keeping the front shop as clean and sanitized as possible. We have plexiglass shields that went up all over our pharmacy to make sure that at first people were unsure about what they were seeing, and now they get it. And it creates even just a visual reminder that distance needs to be maintained at all times.
Mhm.
Um, that's kind of the daily dispensary side of things that
Mhm.
changed. Um, some of the more close contact clinical services really became a challenge.
Mhm.
Um, you know, because you can't give a virtual injection,
Right.
right?
Yes.
You have to get close to someone. And so we have the technology in place to do a lot of the screening
Mhm.
uh, from a distance. And then we would put our masks and gloves on and wave the person in, give the shot, and then have them go back to the parking lot.
Mhm.
I had a patient a few weeks ago. She was not mobile. I was actually giving a shot in the parking lot. We're just doing whatever we can to make sure, because life goes on.
That's
It's
right.
not all about just COVID. People need essential medication, and we're adapting, I guess is the best word.
Yes, yes. And now you, you're an independent pharmacy in a big pharmacy world, and you've developed a really interesting, successful approach. You've taken a community approach. So maybe give a little bit of a background of how you've set up and how you've been serving the community to this point.
Um, well, when I first started, and that's a whole topic for another episode. um, I was the franchise owner within the Target store here in Sherwood Park,
Mhm.
and I got evicted from there at rather short notice, as everyone knows. Um, but I always thought a good business plan might be, what if we had a pharmacy where we actually knew our patients? And that was just the guiding principle right from the start. Um, So it's all about getting to know people one-on-one, understanding what their challenges are. And that's really helped us through this whole COVID pandemic situation, because it was more, instead of I'm going to tell you how this is going to go down now, instead of that, it was the patients helping us, and we were just like, okay, well, how can we do this together? I had several people, for example, living on one rural strip out east of Sherwood Park, and everyone was happy that I coordinated the deliveries out to them, on similar days, rather than doing great distances, all the time. They were phoning me to see how they could help coordinate things to make things a little bit more streamlined and keep the social distancing. It's just, everything was done in a teamwork scenario, rather than one-way communication. And it always helps when you know everybody, right?
Now, in the last, let's say, we could say 5, but 10 years, the pharmacist role in delivery of community health services has expanded. And you sort of alluded to a little bit of doing injections. What other kind of forefront pharmacy pharmacist services had you guys moved into when you opened up?
So one thing I wanted to do right off the bat is try and fill in the gaps in the healthcare system. And one of the gaps seemed to be just minor ailments, helping people who had, if I backed up just a little bit, our healthcare system is spectacular. If you have a major event going on, it's world-class, stuff like that. But some people often just struggle with, what do I do if I have a cold sore? Like, do I really have to go and wait around in a walk-in clinic or something for hours? And, we're trying to fill in those voids. We do have 2 prescribers here that are 2 prescribing pharmacists here, one including myself. But the other service we offered was travel health. So if you're going on a trip, we booked a 1-hour travel assessment consultation, figured out what you need, get all the prescriptions together for you, administer all the injections. It's kind of one stop. So we take away that hassle factor of trying to go all over the countryside to try and figure out what you need and how to get it. I also do a lot of weight loss because I saw that as a gap in care plans in pharmacy. We would, write a letter to the doctor when we reviewed their medication, and we'd say, well, one goal, and the doctor knew this already. One goal would be to lose some weight, and the patient would kind of say, well, thanks, Captain Obvious, how do I lose weight, right? So it's kind of, we just kind of stepped up into that role as well.
And it's called the ideal protein weight loss is how it's branded on your website. I thought that's very interesting. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on that?
Sure. Ideal Protein has been around for about 10 years. It's medically designed. It's a Canadian company, actually, and it's all scientifically supported. There's no fad-like component to it at all. And basically, the way I explain it is that weight. When we're talking about weight loss, we should never talk about being on a diet for life. So we're either in weight loss mode or we're in weight maintenance mode. And so all kinds of factors can roll into there. And as far as weight loss mode, it's weekly coached. So I see each patient once a week for accountability. We review their journal, and the body, basically, without getting into a full 1-hour info session about it, we're trying to teach the body for weight loss to use your own fat for energy rather than your lean mass and rather than food that you eat. So your body just becomes a really efficient fat burning machine. And what you need is already in you, every one of us already.
Hmm.
And I usually don't like to use the word willpower. I don't think it's willpower. It's just a mindset. You've decided it's go time, and when it's time to go, that's where I can help you out there. Yeah.
And that is such a nice thing to know, that you can access these bridging health services through a pharmacist, and right here in our community. How do people get a hold of you, Suhash?
Um, well, it would be a phone call, 780-570-0203
Mm-hmm.
is the main line. And during this COVID crisis, because we have compressed hours now, I've actually been working on my own website. There is, of course, a corporate website as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just different entry points to reach out to me. And probably the most efficient way that people directly reach out to me is through my
Facebook, okay.
Facebook page.
And then once drop-ins and everything are back, okay, what's the address of your location?
We're at 270 Baseline Road. And so right on the main strip. I just love our location here. We're right by, there's a Petro-Canada right in the same parking lot, and the Canadian Brew House is next, is our neighbors as well. Yeah.
Now, as a man who's a business person in our community, and you're also community active, and you're a mentor and a supporter of other businesses, and so in this time of where we're at as a community, and as a people, and as a nation, what can you share that would be words that would be helpful at this time?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. It's a great question because actually, no matter, I grew up in a small town, Alberta, Cold Lake, Alberta. I grew up interning with local business owners at the Value Drug Mart up there. And one thing that I always saw is that community comes first. And even fellow business owners, anything I can do to help support you, whether it be doing takeout from the local restaurant, or trying to support a local business that's doing any curbside pickup. But I think the biggest piece of advice I would have would be to adapt, and actually just have confidence in yourself, because you had it, you knew it, you know it, you've got it, and just have confidence in your own skill set. And at the end of the day, connect with whatever I would say in my case, connect with my patients, connect with your clients, connect with your customers, any way you can, even if it's just phoning them, checking up on them. I started doing a lot of my deliveries myself. At first it was to try and streamline costs, because I knew that we had to figure out what the expenses would be through this whole COVID thing. And it turned out to be one of the most satisfying experiences for me, to actually go out to someone's house. I'd lay the prescription on the porch, ring the doorbell, stand back my 2 meters, and we'd talk. In some cases, I was the only outside person they'd seen in person for weeks, and to hear their stories of how they're coping. And it really gave me hope, because a lot of, I know a lot of hardship is going on out there, but they were just so positive and so willing to share their stories of, what their niece did, and what's happening with their kids, and all that kind of stuff. So I would say connect to with your customer base for sure.
That is so good. The memories and the effect to have such a man of importance to come to a family home as the pharmacist, for the young people that saw you. So good, sir. Suhas Thaleshvar, independent medicine shop owner, Sherwood Park businessman, community man, here with James Steinville on TVU, the Health and Wellness Channel. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And we'll see you next time.